Hey guys, Bombing Science here. We're going to test out some scroll markers, some paint markers for you today. So we've got the Molotov Scroll stick, we've got the Molotow Paint stick, the Sakura solid marker, the Krink paint stick, and the Flame solid wax marker. And we're going to be testing on a metal surface. These sort of apparatus tend to be used on trains, so we feel like a metal structure is really going to let you get the closest to that. So most of these are made specifically for art making, but then the Molotow paint sticks are usually used for construction and for non-art purposes. So do keep that in mind if you're planning on purchasing any of these. In terms of nibs, the Molotow one goes straight to a very thick, flat surface, while the others start off with much rounder or pointier nibs. And so you'll be starting with thin streaks and working your way into a larger line with all of these except for the Molotow scroll stick. These come in a variety of colors. The colors we'll look at today are just an overview just to test the markers, but other colors work as well. Also keep in mind that colored markers, black, white, colored markers, black, blue, red, whatever, often have a tendency to fade with time in the light, whereas white will maintain its color. So don't be surprised if you see a drawing fade in the light. If it's red, it may turn pink. If it's blue, it may turn light blue. So do keep that in mind if you're looking for longevity in the outdoors. I'm very excited to try the scroll stick. The problem with a lot of wide nib markers and mops is that when you go onto a surface, the slightest indentation will make the line lift and you'll only have a partial mark. Whereas I feel like with this, since it's a dry paint marker, you'll be able to get a relatively consistent, flat, wide mark. And so I feel like if you're a fan of getting really big lines, this may be the tool for you. I'm gonna go ahead and look at these one by one. So we're gonna go ahead and try the Krink paint stick. It comes in, this is the white version. And the line's gonna start off being quite thin, but it tends to thicken out pretty quickly. So there's a knob at the bottom that you twist to get it to push up, which is nice. It keeps your hands clean. Some other models you have to push with your fingers or a stick and it gets your hands sticky really fast, and you have nowhere to put that after. You don't want to put it in your pocket or can't shake anyone's hand, so it can get really inconvenient really fast. So this is nice. You can keep it in your pocket, stays nice and clean, keeps your hands clean, and you just screw it from the bottom. So let's go ahead and test it out. So we did one tag and got about halfway into the nib, so we get this much larger stroke. What's nice too with these is you can sort of go in with the edge and get some thinner lines. So you can really control the thickness just by applying different pressure. And I like this, it's got a smooth feel, lines are consistent. Nothing to complain about on this front. It feels nice, it's a nice thickness. Sometimes they're very small or very big and it feels hard to hold on to. And this comes in a solid case, so even when it gets very short, your hold on it is going to stay the same. Just screw it back in, apply the top back, and you're good to go. Alright, we're going to go ahead with the Molotow paint stick. So this is not an artist's tool, it's really just made for construction or people working outdoors for quick, easy marking. So do keep that in mind, it's not intended for artists' use. So I am a fan, but you have to be aware of what you're working with. So we're going to see how this compares to the other ones. So as you see, the top was a bit dry and it made that line difficult, so do keep that in mind when you open it up. So the line is much streakier. The previous one, the line sort of was consistent, whereas this feels more like, almost like a Crayola look. You see all the white space between the lines. So I think that's just from being dry at the top. Maybe you, yeah, so I pressed there and didn't press the back. So you get darker lines by pressing harder. But as I said, this one is not made for artists. You really have to do extra work to get it to work for you, but you get nice results all the same. You have to push with your finger, so it does get messy quick, but they're fun to use, easy to get your hands on, and generally a good deal. Next up, we've got the Sakura solid marker. This is a tried and true classic. It does come with a plastic top, so you want to take that off, unless you want to leave plastic marks, but I don't recommend it. So you take the top off, roll it up from the bottom. It goes up at a really nice pace, so I like that. Sometimes you're in a hurry, you want to use it quickly, and you feel like you're spending forever turning it, so just a nice pace for rolling it up. Thin nib at the beginning, so you're going to start with a very thin line, but sometimes that's what you want. So you can start with a thin line, or you can go in thicker. It's got a really nice color to it. It comes in a bunch of colors. The lines are good. The scrolling is good. No complaints here. And the lines are very thick here. Even when I wasn't applying a lot of pressure, the line work was really clean, really crisp, consistent. So just an all-around good product. All right, next up we've got the Flame Solid Wax Marker, and it comes in here. It's brand new, we just got these, and it is small, so I'm gonna let you know that there's not a lot of paint on there, but they're very easy to carry, and it starts off with a thin nib as well. The scrolling pace is really nice, so even though you're gonna have less product, and I'm expecting you're gonna go through the thickness quite quickly, the speed that it comes out at is pretty quick, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. And let's go ahead and try it out. That's a really nice line. It's very opaque, it's quite dark, so not very transparent compared to what you see on the stick. So that's nice. Sometimes you expect it to sort of look dark on the stick but be quite pale when it's applied thinly. So very opaque, very dark color, and it comes out nicely. The lines are nice and crisp. You can play with the thickness also by applying different pressures. So that's thick, this is thin, so you get a nice spread there. And it's a fun product to use. As I said, you can probably pack 3 or 4 of these in a single pocket, so if you're the type of person that likes to use a lot of colors, likes to change things up, that's a really easy way to do that. A lot of these other ones, you'd be hard pressed to even carry one in a pocket, so that's a nice change and a nice option if you're the type of person who likes to put color into your life. This is the Molotov Scroll stick. It's another new product here, and I'm very excited to try it. It's got a really thick end here. I'm excited to try this. I haven't used such a thick scrawler in a really long time, and the fun thing about them is how thick you can get the lines to be if you really apply enough pressure and go in real flat. The problem with a lot of larger markers or mops is that while you see a really thick marker and you're excited to try it, you find that you can only really use it on extremely smooth surfaces. Otherwise, all it takes is for the edge to lift a bit and you go from a thick line to a really thin one. But with this sort of marker, you can count on it being adaptive and reactive to the surface you're drawing on. So even if it were, say, brick or wood or something with more dings in it, this should be able to deal with that nicely. So we're gonna start it off on the edge, use it as a nice chisel. So that's already a really nice line work that you don't see usually on this type of marker. So if you're a fan of chisel tips, this is already something you can use in that way. But then if you want to use it real fat, you can do that too. You can't be in too much of a rush because you have to be patient and really make sure you're applying it nice and flat. but the line quality is very fun. As far as the opacity and the quality of the lines, it does feel a bit waxier. It does seem to have a bit more lift than some of these other ones, but you get some nice solid streaks. And then considering that you're using it flat and you've got such a large nib, it's quite nice to see how equally and evenly it can spread the paint. And it's, you know, it can be used in a variety of ways. You can try to get really thin lines as well. So you have a big range with this if you like to have your options open. If you want to be able to use a thin line or a very thick line with a single marker, this will give you the probably a much broader spectrum than most other tools will allow you. So if you want a single purpose, multi-purpose drawing tool, this might be right up your alley. So going through them, the Krink gave a bit of a lighter line. Sometimes it's harder with white to get a very opaque color, but you can notice that it feels lighter than some of these other ones. And I found that the scroll at the bottom was harder to use. It felt like it was going slower, so that was a bit of an annoyance. The Markers, a very pale line, very inconsistent, and the hard top made it extra annoying. It dirties your fingers. That being said, you can get your hand on a handful of these pretty cheap, which is usually one of the reasons to get them. If you're the type of person that goes through these quickly, you may not be willing to invest in some of these other ones. And these are nice, they're easy to use. So if you're the type of person that goes through these quickly, I'd probably recommend going with the Markers. As far as the Sakura goes, solid color, solid line. The product works well. No complaints on that front. I really like this color. I feel like they make really nice colors. Nice and poppy. As far as the flame goes, your line work is going to be thinner than what you're able to do with some of these other ones. And products like the Sakura allow you thinner lines as well. So if you're going to be doing thin line work, that's great. If you want something you can carry easily, perfect. But if you want the option to be able to go thicker, maybe that's not good for you. The color is great. The product works smoothly. Nothing bad to say on that front. As far as the Molotov Scroll stick, it may be a more difficult product to use if you're newer to this type of product, just because of the diligence you need in really applying a nice, even, thick stroke. But if you're going to be using it without caring about getting a really big line, this may still be a good product for you. But yeah, if you're intending on using it for the thickest line work, make sure you have a bit of time on your hands because it's unlikely you'll be able to use it in too much of a rush. I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have disagreements, or if you think I made a mistake, or if you want to endorse your favorite product, if there's one of these that I said mean things about that you disagree about, let me know in there. All of these products are also available on our website, so make sure to visit the link in the description below. Hey everyone, how's it going? So we're gonna show you how to split and combine colors with scrawlers. So earlier we tried to split some up, put some Markers up, and combine their colors. But the problem with Markers is they're very brittle, they break easily, especially with the cold weather we're having here. So these were very dry and broke as I tried to cut them. Then we did some tests microwaving them, letting them melt a bit, and then cutting them, which did give superior results. However, they melt, and they melt in the middle, so if you're going to be experimenting with this, know that even if it looks dry on the surface, squeezing it may have it ooze out the middle, so do be thoughtful of that. But you can get some results, so we did manage to combine some, and we'll be testing those out, but they broke a lot still even after microwaving them. I don't recommend doing this at home. I don't think it's worth the effort. But that being said, if you have extras and you want to mess around, try some new things, you'll be able to get some use out of this. So it does work, it's just far less effective than with some other waxier scrawlers. So be advised, be careful, but if you want to try it anyway, it can be done. We're going to go ahead and split the colors on these Sakura solid markers, and we're going to go for a blue-black marker that's half of each. So with the Sakura, you take off the plastic top, and then you just twist it out. I'm using this plastic bag to grab the paint sticks, trying to keep my hands clean. This is the sort of thing that if you get it somewhere, it can wipe onto everything, and if you can avoid the mess, you might as well. And so you just pull it off gently, then you're gonna have a plastic tip at the end that you want to take off. It can get stuck on there pretty good, so you want to take it off as gently as you can. It may take a bit of paint off the stick with it, but it'll still work. So now that you've got paint stick on its own, you're going to want to slice it down the middle, and these very conveniently have registration marks on either side, and so you're going to want to make sure that you're slicing alongside both of those the entire length. So you start by placing your X-Acto blade, whatever blade you're using, right down onto both of those, and then you gently slice right along the center. I like to take my time checking in as I slice along, make sure that I'm staying nice and centered, nice and registered. These are much softer than the mark olive, let's say, so they're a lot easier to slice. They're not trying to break. Imagine this being like a nice beeswax texture, nice softened beeswax, while the mark olive feels more like soap. So now you have it separated into two pieces. Leave those there for now, and we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the black. There we go, we've got the two halves ready to be combined. Take your base, put it back into the marker, making sure that these two registration lines, there's two notches on the edges that align on the inside with the notch on the inside of the marker. So you want to get those to align. That'll allow the marker to go in and out with ease as you're unloading it when you're using it. So now you're gonna roll it back, get your two pieces, set them along the registrations line. So the line you've got along the two, separating the two colors, that's where the registration line. So you're gonna set that along on the inside. Nice and gentle. And you just slide it down. Again, take your time. You don't want it to warp or break. Just want to get it to go in nice and smoothly. And as you get better at this, it'll probably be less messy than I was, but good starting point. So now we're going to do just a quick little test run, see how it comes out. The edge is broken off a bit there. So that's too bad, bit of wastage there. But we can push it out some more. Now as we get into the thicker part of it, it gives a nice consistent line. And there you have it. You've combined two markers into one. You've got a nice streaker with two colors on it. If you like the way this combined Sakura looks, you can find your own on the Bombing Science website in the link below. Make sure to leave some comments, tell me how poorly and how dirty it is. Leave all that in the comments.